people think these stock prices are falling because of stock dilution, but in reality... All right, welcome to Talkin' Investing. I am Tom, and as always, this is not financial advice. Today, I want to talk about RIOT Blockchain, stock ticker RIOT. They had some big news this week, so I want to go through that, what it means for the company, what it means for the stock. RIOT is a Bitcoin miner. We cover the Bitcoin miners quite a bit on this channel. So if you're new here, remember to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss a video. Also, everybody, please smash the like button for us and feel free to drop a comment below with your thoughts. You'll see a link in the pinned comment below to our Discord. We now have over 500 people, so we'd love to have you join us. Let's get into RIOT. RIOT on Friday, April 1st, closed at $20.73, and that was down 2.08% on the day. So that was a little bit of an underperformance versus the rest of the Bitcoin miners and versus Bitcoin. And there's a couple of reasons for that. And the big one is they filed with the SEC for a $500 million at-the-market offering. So I want to go through exactly what it was that they filed, what they may do with it, and what the ramifications are going to be. So you see right now, RIOT's market cap is about $2.4 billion. So they are looking to raise $500 million. So we'll do some of the math on that, but it's a little trickier than it seems. First, let's take a look at the actual offering and see what they're talking about. This is from their filing with the SEC on Thursday, March 31st. They say, we may issue and sell shares of our common stock having aggregate gross sales proceeds of up to $500 million from time to time. Because there is no minimum offering amount required as a condition to close this offering, the actual total public offering amount, commissions, and proceeds to us, if any, are not determinable at this time. There can be no assurance that we will sell any shares under or fully utilize the sales agreement as a source of financing. So basically what they're saying there is they have a $500 million shelf offering. They can sell up to $500 million. These usually have about a 2-year lifespan. I got to dig in a little more and see if that's the case in this instance, but there is no minimum requirements for this, so they don't have to use it. Now, obviously, if they've done this, they intend to use it to some extent. So the question is how much and when, and the answer to that will tell us how much dilution this actually is. We intend to use the net proceeds from the sale of our common stock under this prospectus supplement for general corporate purposes, and then I will tell you, they basically list everything under the sun. So they're leaving the door open for capital expenditures, acquisitions, operations, Bitcoin mining machines. They even go as far as to say repurchases and redemptions of our common stock. So they've left nothing out here. Now, in reality, we know that most of these Bitcoin miners, and RIOT in particular, has used the majority of these funds to get new machines. We know that their 2022 goal is to get to 12.8 exahash. So they're somewhere around 4 right now, so they've got a long way to go. They have made big deposits. They have the remainder of their machines under contract with large deposits on them, but they do need to raise more money in order to 100% fulfill those obligations. So they've left the door open to do anything with this, but as an investor, I tend to give management the benefit of the doubt that the reason for this, in large part, is to buy more machines to get to 12.8 exahash by the end of the year. I just want to read a little bit of this article because I think they do a good job summarizing what's going on here. This was from CoinDesk. RIOT Blockchain files to sell up to $500 million of stock. The company currently has about 116.7 million shares outstanding, according to the filing. And if the entire $500 million was offered at the current stock price, the share count would increase by about 20% to almost 140 million. In other words, if they went out tomorrow and got all $500 million of this, that would be a 20% dilution in their stock price. So in my mind, I view that as kind of the downside worst case scenario. It is highly unlikely. In fact, you can rest assured that they will not go get $500 million tomorrow at the current share price. However, the question is, how much will they get, when will they get it, and at what share price? So what's going to be the average share price over time that they get this at? That is going to determine how dilutive this is to the company's stock. We'll take a look at the stock chart and you'll see that the company is still trading at a very low valuation. I would think that management is expecting a pretty big increase in their stock price over the course of time, and I would think that they would be averaging in on this thing so that it does not end up amounting in anywhere near 20% dilution, but it could. So it could also end up in 10% or less, depending on how much of this that they use and when they use it, at what stock price they sell it. So that is an unknown, but they do quantify the downside here. You know, if they were to grab everything today, that would be 20% dilution. They then say Riot mainly holds the Bitcoin it mines, meaning the company issues equity for additional capital raises to fund its operations and expansion. In a recent presentation, Riot said it had 5,783 Bitcoin on its balance sheet as of March 1st. That would be worth about $267 million at the current Bitcoin price of $46,200. So this is one of the reasons you can see why they're holding their Bitcoin, because even if they sold, it still would not probably fulfill the needs they have for cash to get the rest of their machines to provide the exahash that they're looking for. And basically, a lot of these companies have a hodl position, and obviously it is their belief that the price of Bitcoin is going to go up drastically in the future, so selling it at this price would be a disservice to shareholders, even though they have to create stock dilution to do so. So it would be their expectation that the increase in value in that Bitcoin will exceed the stock dilution, in theory anyway. Before we go to Riot's chart, I want to show you a chart of their market cap, because this is one of the things I think it's very important for retail investors to understand as stock gets diluted. A lot of times, this is a big offering, there's going to be stock dilution, so they assume that the price of the stock is not going up because of stock dilution. But when in fact the reality is, you can see over the last year, the market cap of this company has gone down drastically. So that means the majority of the reason that the price of the stock is down off of its highs is not because of dilution, although that is some percent of it. No percent of the decrease in market cap is represented by dilution. If anything, when you raise money, it should increase your market cap. But you can see, if we go back just over a year ago to February 15th, 2021, this was almost a $6 billion market cap company. So let's even say that things were inflated in January and February of 2021, because they were. If we go to November, when Bitcoin was at its recent high, this was a $4.25 billion company. As they've more than doubled their exahash rate since then, their market cap has been cut in half. So it's important to remember this when you look at the share price, because I know I do get a lot of comments in the videos and in the Discord, and I think there's a lot of sentiment out there that people think these stock prices are falling because of stock dilution. But in reality, if you look at market cap instead of sales price, you'll see that it is not the dilution. It is just the fact that these stocks have pulled back and lost market cap. So let's go to the chart. Okay, this is the Riot chart on the one-day time frame. Each one of these candles represents 1 day. I've gone back here to July 20th, 2021. That was when Bitcoin bottomed out in the year 2021. It was down to $29,000 at that point. There is a white line. This represented a line of support that was extremely strong for the last half of the year for 2021. You can see this line of support withheld the Bitcoin crashing down to 29,000 in July. It held up under the Bitcoin crash at the end of September down to at $1,39,000. So this held all the way along until December. Since then, the majority of the Bitcoin mining companies have been underperforming in relationship to Bitcoin. Even though Riot's stock price has had a nice run up over the last really 2 or 3 weeks of almost 50%, it's still substantially off of its recent highs, and it hasn't even gotten back to this line of support. And remember, we're at Bitcoin 46,000 right now. This line of support held at Bitcoin 29,000 and Bitcoin 39,000. So Riot is underperforming versus Bitcoin dramatically. And again, remember the market cap. It's not just that the stock's been diluted and the company's growing in market cap, but the stock shares aren't. It's that the company is shrinking in market cap. Okay, so I want to go to a chart that shows what I'm talking about. This is the Riot blockchain on the 1 hour time frame over the last 2 weeks, and you will see an orange line that represents Bitcoin in comparison to the movement of Riot blockchain. So in the last 2 weeks, Bitcoin is up 8% and Riot is down almost 2%. So there's about a 10%, almost exactly a 10% difference in the performance of Bitcoin versus the performance of Riot. So there are 2 reasons for that. The first one is what we just talked about. They just announced what is a potential stock dilution, and the stock price is going to take a short-term hit for that. It always does. It almost always does. So some of this you'll see the biggest gap is here in the last 3 days, and that was basically since they made this announcement. So that's a big part of the reason that this stock underperformed. Another part of the reason that I will be getting into in another video is all the Bitcoin mining companies that have been hodling their Bitcoin have been getting punished, and they have been lagging behind both Bitcoin and the miners who are selling their Bitcoin. So Riot falls into that category. They basically hodl somewhere between 95 and 100% of all the Bitcoin that they mine, and they intend to keep doing that. Well, at the moment, they are getting punished for that, along with several other of the Bitcoin mining companies that have a hodl strategy. So I don't know if this is a short-term thing. In particular, the last 2 weeks, it seems to be the case. The Bitcoin miners have really lagged Bitcoin in a way that they have not in the past. So sometimes these things diverge and they seem to come back and catch up. So we will see if the miners come back and catch up with the pace of Bitcoin, or if this is symptomatic of a bigger problem. I have no problem with Riot's hodl position. I do think they need to be very strategic. They certainly shouldn't go out and dilute themselves 20% on this $500 million, but if they can manage this over time to get the $500 million they need, or whatever portion they need of it, and keep this dilution at 8 or 10%, I think that's already, as you can see, that was already priced in the last 3 days. We're 10% apart right here. So because of all that, I think Riot, is still a good value. The stock is a good value. And I also want to mention their last 4 or 5 monthly operational updates have been spectacular. Their operation and mining performance is doing exceptionally well. They're very efficient miners. They are leading all but Core Scientific in the number of Bitcoin mined on a monthly basis and on a daily basis. So a lot of good things happening for this company, but we're going to have to see how the market digests this. The initial reaction, as you can see, is that Bitcoin, while it went up, Riot stock remained the same or went down. So this is not financial advice. I can't tell you guys what to do. I'm trying to show you guys what happened and explain and put it into context. I hold Riot. I did not sell any of my Riot. I bought a little bit on this dip. But again, this is not financial advice. You guys should not just do what I do. You need to make your own decision as to how you feel the risk reward is on Riot as a stock on a going forward basis, depending on your time frame and your risk tolerance and all those things. So that's what's going on with Riot. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video.